Kia ora whānau. Hey, welcome to lockdown day one. This seems a little bit deja vu-y, but here we are again. Hey, just watched the update. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I know you guys were expecting this, and of course, there's going to be a lot of lockdown baking taking place. So what I thought I'd do today is whip up one of my absolute favourites, and that one is banana bread. I'm going to do a couple of changes to mine. So first of all, I'm going to make mine gluten-free. The reason for that simply is because I sense in the water there will be a lot of bread coming on. So I thought what I'll try and do is just reduce the amount of gluten I take in initially. But yeah, and I've also got a couple of other tips and tips and tricks I will show you guys as I go through. I've got a couple of substitutions simply because I don't want to risk going to the supermarket. I imagine the queues are going to be massive. So yeah, here we go. So I've got my recipe up on my screen. I've got my oven preheating to 180 degrees. And I have greased a loaf tin, ready to go. I have actually got a non-stick loaf tin, but I always grease it just to make sure. So into my bowl, I'm going to add 350 grams of bananas. Now these bananas have been frozen. In fact, I think I've probably had them since last lockdown, to be honest, and they've just been sitting in the freezer. So here we go. 350 grams of bananas. And we're just going to quickly chop those up. So we're going to run for 5 seconds at speed number 6. It won't take that long because they're already pretty much mushy, as you guys know, for anyone who freezes bananas. Almost there. Alrighty, let's see what we got. I hope you guys are planning on doing lots of lockdown baking. So it's all pretty much just mush now. So into this, I'm going to add 130 grams of butter. I happened to have a little bit of a whoopsie when I was defrosting the butter, and I ended up with a bit more defrosted than I thought. I guess because I'm so used to with the Thermomix that once it's finished a step, it just stops, but a microwave doesn't, it just keeps going. So here we go, 130 grams of softened butter. Wow, that is really softened. Into there. "150 grams of caster sugar. This is going straight into the bowl. So for our Thermomix customers out there, if you're a new owner, don't forget that we have got a new owners class called an Easy Essentials, and that's coming up on Thursday night. So by all means, if your consultant hasn't already linked you up with that, give them a yell. They're well worth going to. Even if you've had a Thermomix for a while, you still pick up lots of tips and tricks. So dropping the lid on. And this is now going to beat up really quickly at speed number 4. So if we're making a traditional cake, so as you guys know, I haven't used my cake mixer for so long, it's not funny. But speed 4 is the speed we'd use when we come to creaming. So if you're transferring the recipe across from a traditional beater to a Thermomix, speed 4 is your creaming speed, and it makes... Alrighty. So everything is really nicely brought together. We've got a lovely texture. Okay. Into this now, I'm going to add 2 eggs. Here I am playing loose and wild. I'm trusting that I will not get any eggshell in there. And on goes our lid again. I'm just going to take the extra banana mixture off the lid. This is going to be for 4 seconds. Sorry, 10 seconds. And that's going to incorporate the eggs into our banana, butter, and sugar mixture. So at this point here, it's asking for 220 grams of plain flour. I'm going to use my gluten-free flour. Now, you can make your own gluten-free flour if you like. This is the flour I've had the most success with. I've tried several different types of gluten-free flour that you can buy from the supermarket. So the Bakewell's one seems to be the one that works best for me. So just going to tear my scales and put in 220 grams of gluten-free flour. When you are using gluten-free flour, it tends to be a bit lighter. So just when you're pouring it, it can quite easily sort of go a bit over. Oh, 225, that's close enough. Now we're going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, one thing I was told that when you're doing baking powder with the gluten-free cooking, you should always put a little bit more in, just because that the gluten-free flour doesn't tend to rise up as much. So I've put in 1 flat teaspoon and 1 heaped teaspoon, so there's a little bit more there. And we're going to add to that 1 pinch of salt. Always remember to have the salt handy. And 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And again, because I want it to rise a little bit because of the gluten-free flour, I'm going to put in a heaped teaspoon of baking soda. And that goes. Now, I don't have buttermilk, but the recipe calls for buttermilk. So I could just use regular milk, but I just Googled a quick hack. And the quick hack I read said that what you can do is for every 1 cup of milk, you add in 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And then what you do, you just whip it up with a fork and let it sit for 15 minutes. So what I've done with this, I have weighed about 10 grams of lemon juice and 90 grams of milk. And together that makes up my 100 grams. So this is going to be my buttermilk. So as I said before, I ain't going to the supermarket. It's going to be a crazy time out there. And instead of using natural vanilla essence, I'm going to use the good old substitute of maple syrup. So we're adding 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. So this will tend to make things a little bit sweeter. So maybe if you choose to do the substitute, you would reduce the sugar down a little bit. So on goes my lid. And we're now going to beat this for 20 seconds at speed number 4. This is such a simple recipe and it's so nice and fluffy. It is absolutely amazing. So, almost done. If you guys want to see anything baked or made, by all means, just flick me a message. And if there's a recipe you want to see made over our lockdown, hopefully it will only be 7 days. Yeah, I'll see what I can organise. Alrighty, wow. So here's our mixture. So I'm now going to put this into my prepared loaf tin. Wow, this is smelling so yummy. And I'm going to put this into a 180-degree oven, and it's going to cook for around 50 minutes. So as with your normal cake, what you want to do is put in a skewer or a knife and just make sure that comes out clean, and that's when you know that your bread is ready. So once it's come out of the oven, you really want to cool it for about 30 minutes. And once it's cooled, then take it out of your tin. Right. Oh, just got to get the last bit out. as my mother says, always make sure you get all the mixture in. Cool. So there's my mixture ready to go in the oven, guys. So as I said, this is going to bake for about 50 minutes, 180 degrees. I hope you guys are staying warm and you're staying safe. Have a great rest of your day. And I hope the weather clears up, because out here in Auckland, we're going through sudden cloud bursts of rain. So it's not quite enough to take the dogs out for a walk, but you never know what happens. Enjoy your day, guys. Check back on my page and I'll put up my finished product. See ya.